Hey folks, Lord here. Today I wanted to make a video about Pokemon Emerald Rogue team building. I saw a comment in one of the later videos about someone wanting to see a video about team building. I quite like team building, and I think I have a pretty good understanding of it for this game. So I wanted to make a little video presentation type of thing. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. The key points in the video will be going over physical and special attacks and attack curves, type synergies, different gym leaders, important moves, and team roles. So obviously, if you want to build a good team, you gotta have some good split between physical attack and attackers and special attacks and attackers of that kind. Yeah, it's best to have like a 50-50 to not really get walled out by a really OP physical wall or really strong special wall you just can't get through. And besides having good physical and special split, it's also good to have good type diversity. For your special attackers and physical attackers, you'd obviously want to hit as many types as possible to, again, not get walled by a specific type. And I know it's more difficult to do in specific challenges, especially monotype challenges, but there's still ways to do it. And obviously, you'd want coverage moves, so you wouldn't want to stack too many of the same type of move. So having 4 Pokemon with Earthquake is pretty cool, but encountering a whole team of flying types and having no move to hit it with really, really sucks. So keep that in mind when you're building your team. For type synergies, there's actually a couple of useful strategies you can use. You can bait specific moves by having Pokemon with quad weaknesses. Sometimes quad weaknesses can be terrible, but if you know how to use them well, they can actually be very, very useful for baiting specific moves. Certain Pokemon like Gyarados or Aggron have quad weaknesses to electric, fighting, or ground. And knowing that, you can use these Pokemon to bait specific moves and switch into a safe Pokemon. For example, with Gyarados, you can switch into an electric immune Pokemon to almost guaranteed have a safe switch into that Pokemon. And Gyarados can consistently bait out electric moves because it takes the most damage. Same with Aggron. You can pair it up with a ghost Pokemon or a flying Pokemon or a ghost Pokemon with Levitate, since it's quad weak to fighting and ground, and a ghost Pokemon is obviously immune to fighting. There's also abilities that give you these free switches. So, for example, if you have a Pokemon that's very weak to water or fire, you could use a Pokemon like Storm Drain Gastrodon or Flash Fire Houndoom to get a free safe switch into a different Pokemon, which could give you a huge advantage when you're battling. Next up are gym leaders. Now, of course, these won't always apply to your run, because sometimes you may have multiple gym leaders enabled. Say you have like Johto, Hoenn, and Sinnoh enabled. Well, there's 24 gym leaders to prepare for. Potential gym leaders. You won't obviously encounter all of them, but there's a good number of gym leaders you will encounter. But if you only play on, say, Kanto, and, well, you've already beaten 6 of them, there's only water and electric, well, you know what to prepare for now. So let's say, like, a grass-type Pokemon here, or something that's resistant to both, like a dragon, would be very useful. So this is something you can keep in mind when you're doing like a specific type of run, like say Kanto only or Johto only. It's good to keep in mind what gym leaders are remaining. Now, up next, there's some important moves. These apply to basically every battle. I frequently use these moves a lot to give myself an easier time. Of course, hazard moves like Stealth Rock or Sticky Web. Sticky Web especially is really, really strong. Stealth Rock speaks for itself. It breaks Focus Sash, it breaks Sturdy, it breaks, well, their health, so it's easier to get KOs. Sticky Web actually enables some of the slower attackers in Emerald Rogue to really shine, because, well, there's a lot of speedy Pokemon that make it difficult for slower sweepers to really shine. And obviously, if you play on higher difficulty, weather control is very useful. So moves like Rain Dance or the new Snowscape. Snowscape is actually very useful, I think, because it's a weather effect with no real downside, unless your opponent is using ice types, because then they get increased defense. And finally, pivoting moves. Pivoting moves like U-turn or flip turn. If you use them correctly, they can really make you have an easier time, because you can do a little chip damage and switch out and get a good advantage. So these are really useful and good moves to keep in mind. Stuff like Snowscape is pretty common to actually get, because it's a tutor move most of the time. Moves like Stealth Rock and U-Turn are a little bit more expensive because they're always TMs. Sticky Web can be a TR or tutor move, and Flip Turn, I think, is also a TR or tutor move. Not entirely sure. Next are team roles. I split them up in lead, wall, pivot, sweeper, support, cleric, and versatility. So for lead Pokemon, you want to think of Pokemon that like set up a weather effect or use hazards or kind of make you have an easier time with just starting the battle. So Pokemon like Aerodactyl or Fortress, who can set up hazards, set up weather, maybe even pivot to a different Pokemon. Fortress is a pretty safe one because it has Sturdy, it can set up Stealth Rock, it can wipe stuff with Rapid Spin, it can set up certain weather, and even pivot with Volt Switch. It's very good to have like a designated lead to just change the weather, set up hazards. It's really good to keep in mind because it can give you a way, way easier time in battling gym leaders. Of course, wall Pokemon. It's good to have like a wall core of Pokemon that really synergize together well. So let's say you have a physical wall like Dondozo, and you pair them up with a special wall like Amoonguss. Now these obviously are really good together because they cover each other's weaknesses pretty well. Dondozo is weak to grass and electric, and Amoonguss covers that pretty well. While Amoonguss is weak to fire and ice, which Dondozo will tank. So, and Dondozo also has the ability Unaware, which makes it really, really strong into setup sweepers. So having a designated wall core in your team can be really valuable to give you a bit of an easier time when battling. For pivots, pivots kind of come in two different roles, I would say. You have the fast pivot, which always goes first and can give you a good switch in and maybe bait a move. So think of stuff like Regieleki, who just outspeeds everything, switches out into something that doesn't really take much from a ground move. Or you have the slow pivot like Galarian Slowking, who can use Snowscape with Regenerator and no wait, not Snowscape. Not Snowscape. It's what's the move called again? You know what move I mean. Um, the move it learns, which sets up snow and switches it out. It tells like a bad joke or something. I forgot. But that move always goes, well, mostly goes last, because Slowking is very slow. It switches out, takes a hit, which gives you a free switch into a different Pokemon. Another thing you could do for this pivoting strat is, well, you don't really need a pivoting move. You could use the eject button. Eject button basically is just like you take a hit, you switch out. So you can switch a Pokemon with eject button into a move, and then you basically just have a free switch. It's a very useful tactic in, well, getting your strong Frail Sweepers into the battle. Speaking of sweepers, sweepers also kind of come in two different flavors, I would say. You have the setup sweepers, which just use a setup move like Dragon Dance, like with Salamence. Salamence uses Dragon Dance a couple times, and then just plows through a team with its boosted attack and speed. And the other type, I would say, is choice Pokemon, such as Fluttermane. Fluttermane loves to just use choice specs or choice scarf. Or if you're playing on the Maka patch, you could use booster energy to boost your stats. And with that power boost, just sweep through a team because Fluttermane is incredibly powerful. I wouldn't stack too many of these Pokemon on your team, like maybe a max of 2 or 3. Really depends. But yeah, having a couple of sweepers is pretty good. Next up, you would have the support Pokemon. Smeargle is an amazing support Pokemon because it can learn a whole bunch of moves. It can set up hazards. It can apply status. It can switch moves. Well, obviously, it can have Sketch, but Sketch is a bit difficult to use in Emerald Rogue because it's very inconsistent and a bit risky. But also Pokemon like Reuniclus. Reuniclus is a very bulky Pokemon that learns Reflect and Light Screen by level up, which is really, really good utility, because if you pair it with a Light Clay, it goes on for 8 turns and, well, makes you able to take hits that you would otherwise not be able to. On higher difficulties, Clerics are pretty useful. Clerics are just Pokemon that heal your team or heal status, so stuff like Blissey or Alomomola, who can Wish Pass or use Heal Bell. Alomomola is actually pretty useful because it can use Wish with Flip Turn and its Regenerator ability to slowly switch in a Pokemon and basically heal it to full. Very, very useful to have. Last, the versatility. So there's Pokemon that obviously fit into more boxes. So, for example, Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl could be a lead, it could be a sweeper, it could even be a support Pokemon. You have these Pokemon, which are most of the time pretty useful to just catch. You can dump them in your daycare, or you can just use them in many, many different ways. These are very, very good Pokemon. And I think a prime example of this is Blaziken. Blaziken can be used as a sweeper, first and foremost, but it also has access to moves like Baton Pass. Baton Pass is obviously really, really broken, and with Blaziken's stat boosts and speed boost, it can pass a lot of stats to other Pokemon. Another good example of versatility is Arceus, because it can just do everything that you would want, but it's a legendary and a box art, so it's quite difficult to get, and mostly you would just want to use it as a sweeper anyway, because it's way too strong. I hope you enjoyed. This was a bit of a different video. I'll make another video on evil teams next time. If you like this kind of video format, please let me know, because I think it's kind of fun. If you don't, you think this is terrible, then just let me know. I won't make this again. I'll just go back to the funny editing with the PNG that I did last time. Yeah, that's about it for team building. Hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, just leave them down below, and I'll see you next time. Stay roguing. Bye bye.